my name is Umaima Rashid and this is LA Currents. Today we're here with Dr. Nadine Diaz and Dr. Giselle Petzinger from the USC Keck School of Medicine, Department of Neurology, and we're going to talk a little bit about memory and aging.
One of the things that we know with aging is that we get disorders of memory as we get older, and there are two in particular that are common, one of which is Alzheimer's disease, and the other is Parkinson's disease.
This disease is the most heart-wrenching. It's the bad news disease because there's no cure. Right now in America, 5.8 million Americans have Alzheimer's disease. Every 65 seconds, someone is developing Alzheimer's disease.
However, in the same time, what's been really exciting is the whole idea of what role lifestyle plays. And specifically when I'm talking about lifestyle, I'm talking about exercise.
Okay, and so what is it showing? What is the relationship between exercise and the way the brain works as it relates to memory and aging?
Right, so great question. We've been interested in the Parkinson's field and looking at a different type of exercise, and that would be what we'd call more skill-based. So whether that would be Tai Chi or yoga or boxing, I'm involving more processing or problem solving. And the idea there is that it's a type of learning. It could be theater, so in the Spanish community, in the Mexican American community, where theater is kind of a natural aspect of the culture. That's a great example of how we could develop, for example, theater programs for the older individuals to participate in, which they love to do, and we begin to start showing how they can be validated. These programs are validated as effective in helping with cognition. Learning creates circuitry related to thinking, and in that context, maybe repairing areas of the brain affected by these disease states.
And a lot of the things you're talking about seem really simple, and I think it's a matter of just educating people around these ideas and these concepts.
People who practice exercise regularly, whether as an adult or even many years before, 20, 30 years before, and then being examined as an adult, have better thinking capacity than a person who's just sedentary.
Definitely makes sense. I feel like the research around all fields says that, exercise and learning is beneficial for us all.
In America, each day 10,000 people turn 65. The aging population is growing in numbers. We are booming. We are living longer and working longer, and we definitely have to prepare for the future, not just with health and aging, but policy and legislation. How are we going to take care of those that are developing the disease? In California, it's impacting people of color. So African Americans are 3 times likely to get Alzheimer's disease or develop it. And then Latinos are approximately 1.5 times as likely to get it. It's projected 832% of Latinos will develop it.
Do we know why there are more diagnoses in those segments of the population?
I think those are great questions. I think that's people are trying to understand that, but some of it could be related to other comorbidities, particularly for Alzheimer's, not so much for Parkinson's, but for Alzheimer's, such as diabetes, cardiovascular disease, which are going to be a little bit more common in these populations for various reasons.
Talked about the caregiving aspect of it. There is a large segment of unpaid caregiving that goes on that we don't talk a lot about, and that it seems we may not be preparing for with this increase in diagnoses, predicted for the future. So can you speak a little bit about your moving to a care now, cure later mode of thinking?
Right. As a geriatric social worker, I am on the phone every day or interfacing with people who are challenged with finding help to help take care of their loved one. One of the major challenges is that, say for a baby boomer, for example, mom has Alzheimer's disease, and the daughter has to work full-time. Oftentimes they have to stop working or they have to augment their schedule, which means that affects their retirement package and everything else that comes with it. So 16 million people right now are actually taking care of their loved ones without pay. And that is equivalent to 18.5 billion hours of service, unpaid, which equals $234 billion. This is just this year. So by 2050, it'll be $1.1 trillion just for caregiving.
Given what we're facing nationally and in our city, in a perfect world, how would you see it set up? How would you see us planning for our aging population in these diagnoses and research? What would you think?
Well, I think advocacy and policy and legislation are key factors, and we can start here at the local level. Start with Mayor Eric Garcetti and all of our 15 council persons, as well as the LA County Board of Supervisors. We have to start at home and state and federal. Some of our biggest advocates at the federal level are Congresswoman Linda Sanchez and Congresswoman Maxine Waters and Lucio Roybal Allard. They are the women at the forefront in California that are really advocating for more research, but also for lifestyle changes, as Dr. Petzinger mentions.
The cool thing about lifestyle is that it's free. I don't have to sign up for a 24-hour fitness to do that. So we're not talking about creating 24-hour fitnesses everywhere. What we're talking about is thinking about these concepts and leveraging what's in communities. So the idea that wellness lifestyle is owned by people and it's owned by communities. It's not owned by an institution, it's not owned by an insurance company, it's not owned by a database. It's owned by individuals living in a community, which is awesome. As we get older, everyone's going to come down with something, right? If it's not one thing, it's the other. So we don't live in bubbles. It's impossible not to come down with something. But what we can do, and giving a lifestyle as an example, is we can create the best version of ourselves, right? So the idea that if we maintain this sort of practice of lifestyle, we can maybe not necessarily stop everything, but if we have it, we are able to endure it better, we are able to handle it better, and we're the better version of ourselves, if that makes sense.
Can you speak a little bit to the kind of promising things you're seeing around Alzheimer's research and the way we're engaging people with Alzheimer's?
Well, I think still we have a lot of work to do. Compared to the Netherlands, I mean, they really plan for the future for their aging population.
Can you talk a little bit about what they're doing?
Well, there's a place called Dementia Village. And it was actually built for those that are suffering with dementia, late stage. So this is where people go when they are getting closer to hospice, so to speak. But it's a place where they can still feel like they are a part of a community, meaning that they have a theater, they have a store, they have a library, they have places for engagement, for exercise. They want to provide an environment where they feel normal, even though they are declining.
What we would probably say about cure is this. Number one, there probably isn't one single cure anyway, right? So I think what we're recognizing with many of these diseases is that they're hard, they're complex, there's a lot of different mechanisms, and more importantly, certainly for example for Parkinson's, there's probably more than one way to get it. So there probably is going to be, whatever that cure is really going to have probably multiple different aspects to it. Certainly lifestyle will be one component. We know that. So lifestyle with maybe some drug that would help modulate that.
Thank you for joining us. That's it for us here at LA Currents. I'm Umayma Rashid. Thank you for joining us.